But that's the thing though, which is cool about this trade. You could go into it, you could work for somebody and make great money, right? And then once you figure it out, and we're still learning every day, you could go out and go start your own business and be a plumber. You could go right out on your own and just have one helper as a journeyman and make good money. It's a lot of sacrifice, right? It's a lot of sacrifice to go start your own thing, a lot of heartache, but hopefully you get to a point where you're making good money, you could build a good lifestyle and find some financial freedom. Like the trade should get you to financial freedom. Welcome back. Episode 7 or 8. We've been doing this some time now. So I don't remember which one we're at.
We're seasoned.
Yeah. But we're going to be talking about a little bit about
Education, pay scale.
Yep.
How to get into the trades.
Yes, sir.
Because I love this topic, like especially for plumbers, because when I got into the plumbing trade on the management side, I thought this. I was like, man, they're just some uneducated bunch.
Which we are, but that's besides the point. You know what I mean? Just kidding.
To an extent, but what I didn't realize when you guys told me you went to school for 4 years, I was like, damn, 4 years? You're doing college?
Yes, sir.
It's just not as fun as college.
No. There's no parties, bro.
4 years to be a plumber.
Yeah, 4 years. Hey, you know what? I pulled it up. Let me just jump into it really quick. So this is what you need to become a licensed journeyman plumber. So you need 576 classroom hours. This is for the state of Utah. And then 8,000 hours of licensed plumbing experience working under supervision of a licensed journeyman or master plumber. Dun-dun. Dang. But it's a lot of time. So what we do for plumbing, it's different for everybody. Because like we do 4 years. We do it we got here in St. George, we got Dixie Technical College, their trade school. I always get them confused now because now the actual university is Utah Tech.
Utah Tech. It was confusing before because you had Dixie State and then Dixie Tech.
Yeah. So up there for plumbing, we go twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday. It's like 6 to 8. Or 6 to 8:30. So it's not bad. You know what I mean? It's really not all that bad. And it's affordable. This is what I love about it, right? People are like, this is what we're like, oh, I got to go to college, right? And go get an associate's degree and this and that and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. Where going to plumbing school, you're only paying roughly like $5,000 to $10,000 as of right now, give or take. Each, technical college is a little bit different, but each semester it's like $500. You know what I mean? So 2 semesters, 4 years, whatever. Like it's roughly give or take that, right? So, but it's
realistic. Yeah.
And it's only 2 days a week. Kind of sucks that it's at night, but it lets you work throughout the day, which is nice because then you have to give back on to DOPL how many hours you've put in. The school has to do it. Your employer has to do it. So as you're in school, you have to work, right? You have to simultaneously build hours together. So once you finish with school, you have your work hours, and then you could go get your journeyman. So it's 3 years for your residential journeyman, or it's 4 years for your residential and commercial journeyman license as a plumber. But the schooling's fun. I enjoy it. I think it's a good time for the most part, So, yeah.
Really? Is it fun?
No. But you got to do it. You got to do it.
But it gives you a great outlet to make money. Here's the thing too is, like, if you come from a family that's not in the trades, it's like, how do I get into it? And I happened to fall into it. I was lucky, and I didn't have to go to school for that. I went to school for other things that allowed me to be in the management role. But what I just find so surprising about it still is that there's so much damn school that goes into being a plumber.
Yeah.
And like you said, all trades are different. Electricians are different. They have similar setups where you go through apprentice, journeyman, get your master's.
Yeah.
And I think it's that same way for almost every trade.
We'll have to bring in other people because I think HVAC is like a year, but they hammer down, if I'm right. Don't hold me to that. But I think it's like a year, and they just hammer down on their school, where ours is spread out. But, I mean, it's what has to be done. You go in, you learn code, you learn history of plumbing, how the Romans, had how they built it. And like literally it's crazy how like that's your first year, right? You start from the beginning and it's like the history of plumbing, and it just brings you up from where it started and where it's at today, which is cool. That's a cool story. I like the first year just because like you do learn the history of plumbing and you're like, dang, like I didn't realize like people used to take dumps right next to each other. Like, dude, it was crazy. Like, they just
fall out a window or
into
a
dude.
Bucket,
or out into the ocean. They build their castles and they just like their toilet was like hanging off the cliff and they just drop logs into the ocean and let them float away. Like it's crazy how far we've come in plumbing. But no, dude, like for reals, like they show you a picture and it's just this long like tabletop of dump stations. And like you literally like if I'm sitting right here and you're right next to me, we're just, hey, what's up, brother? We're just gonna take a dump together, dude. It's the craziest thing. But hey, I'm glad we're not there anymore and we have at least a divider. I mean, it's the same concept, but they didn't have dividers back then.
You can still talk to the guy next door. You're just not looking at him.
Hey, buddy, I'm out of toilet paper. Can you hand me some? Like it's crazy, but it is cool. Like it's cool because you're learning about the history, and then as you step in, you learn codes and stuff like that. You start diving into the mechanical codes, you start diving into a lot of that, the gas codes, everything. So it's a process that you need. You're going to learn majority of it in the field, but you need the schooling, right, as well to really look through the book and you get up to the curriculum that they want you at,
Well, then there's this, I always like to bring things back to the common perspective of people, right? Everyday residents that don't know plumbing, that don't know trade work, they call us out to come, and there's always this common thought of like, man, you guys are expensive. Why are you expensive? And it goes back to them not understanding that how much goes into the work you do,
the sacrifice,
right?
It's a lot of sacrifice. People are like that's what they don't realize, right? You pay a doctor all this money, and it's because they sacrifice a lot of their time and money to become doctors and stuff like that, but it goes in the same sense with plumbers and tradesmen. It's like we sacrifice a lot of our time. Not only are we running emergency calls all day long and sometimes emergency calls are their supply lines leaking and they didn't know how to turn off an angle stop. You know what I mean? But to them, it's an emergency. So we're going to go run and do it. Little do they know that emergency call keeps us away from our family. And then we still have to go to school that night and go do the rest of our night and eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So it's like we sacrifice our time to get knowledgeable in the trades, to be able to do things proper, without, cross-contamination and all this good stuff that can go wrong in plumbing. So there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time put into it. And then the knowledge, it's like, okay, well, you called a plumber out because you didn't know how to turn a valve a quarter of the way to shut off your water. Well, this guy has been in the field, has been working and sacrificing his time to become a licensed plumber and get all of this education that he could come in 2 seconds and shut off your water. You're going to pay him for his knowledge. You know what I mean? Like that's just, it is what it is. Like that's why the trade industries are good. There's not a lot of skilled laborers anymore. You see a lot of them disappearing. You see a lot of them starting to dwindle away and no one wanting to come into it. Everyone wants to stay in an AC cooled space and
cubicle job.
Yeah, and hey, teach your own, do what you got to do, you know what I mean? But trades pay out well, and that's what people fail to realize. Like people are so afraid to hop into it, but it pays good.
That's what you said, 2 minutes to turn a valve, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I think is interesting too, is a lot of people equate your time to the dollar amount that should be paid. Oh, it took you 5 minutes, so it should cost me $5, right? Yeah. Versus they don't realize how much went into the knowledge to get to that point. Even though it was simple, right? If it was that simple, they would have done it. And right. We come across people all the time that don't know how to turn off the waters in their home.
Yeah. My house is flooding. Do you know where your shut off is? No. Well,
what's that? Yeah, what's that?
Well, FaceTime me. Yeah, if you got an iPhone, FaceTime me. I got you, baby. Yeah. But I mean, it does it like I say, with the schooling aspect of things, it's nice because it's like you can make as much as a lawyer, right? I've done lawyers' houses, and they're like, "Oh man, like I don't even charge that much money," But it's like ours is spread up into jobs, So it's like we're not always running calls all the time. I mean, majority of the time you are, but it's the work that goes into it. Materials are going up. One of these days we will have a parts store guy in here, bring them in and have them like talk to us about what they're dealing with on their end, you know, because they're the manufacturer, or they get from the manufacturers and distribute it right to the public. So we could see what the cost of things are getting to. Like we just had one supply house here up their price by 8% last week, you know, so prices continue to rise. So people got to pay for it. Like that's the hard truth. And now guys coming into the trade are starting, like you got apprentices starting out at $20 an hour now.
Yeah, I think it was like 14 or 15 when we started.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Now you got to match these pays everywhere because they could go and flip burgers somewhere for 18 bucks an hour, right. 20 bucks an hour in the state of Utah. Like, you know what I mean? So it's the pay scale has to go up. I'm so big on a tradesman should not make more than a fast food worker. And that's like, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is for me. Like these guys put in so much time, kill their body.
You mean a fast food worker shouldn't make more than a tradesman?
Yes, that's what I meant. Okay. A tradesman should be making more than a fast food worker.
Absolutely.
Because it's like these guys kill themselves out there all the time to fix everyone's problems, but you got a guy flipping burgers to feed you, making more. You know, it's never made sense to me.
That was trained in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that wasn't a thing not long ago. Now it's becoming a thing where you got apprentices and guys just starting out and they're not making as much as they can over here, but eventually they will. So that's the thing. You may start off low, but you could work your way up. You can make $50,000 a year, all the way up to like $200,000, $250,000 a year, depending on where you're working at in the nation, right? Like Utah, like you can make that kind of money here. You could easily make $150,000 a year here, and then, but
we know salesmen. Unfortunately, salesmen, but we know salesmen in the trade that are pulling in $250 a year, whether it's off HVAC, whether it's off plumbing. That's their focus.
I met a guy that made $400K as a salesman, as an HVAC salesman. I was like, damn.
Oh, that was that guy in California.
No, when I went to Texas.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, no, I went to Texas for a training, and there was a guy out there that. Where was he from?
Was it Lennox?
It was a Lennox trailer or Lennox training, but it was one of the guys working there. Anyways, the dude made a buttload of money. And I was like, well, so what are you doing at a training? Like, bro, you're good. You know what I mean? I think you're at the top out. But he was like doing really well, flipping units and making good money for him. So like, it's really endless here. Like that's the thing in service, right? New construction's a little bit different. Like you could get into plumbing and go new construction or any trade new construction, and you can make a great hourly rate, which is for a lot of people. Some people want to know what their check is going to be. Like, hey, I know I'm getting paid $50 an hour. I know my paycheck, as long as I show up to work every day, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. In service, a lot of companies are paid out commission-based, or they're paid out an hourly rate plus a commission on top. So
what does that look like? What do people make in new construction? It's like 30, 35?
Give or take, depending, right? Your master plumbers are making, upwards of $50 an hour, depending on who you work for in the state of Utah. But yeah, I mean, once you get your journeyman, you should be roughly in I would imagine how it is here, you're in about your 30s as a journeyman plumber, and then you slowly work your way up to, as if you stay a journeyman, I think you top out around 38. But if you're a master plumber, depending on the type of role you take on with that master plumber license, like, are you running crews on a big scale, or are you just this little small shop just doing little residential homes from time to time, just a couple houses a year where you may only make 40, but there's a lot of people I know that are getting paid $50 an hour, So with commission, it's a little bit different because you make your paycheck. That's the hard truth. You make it. Depending on what you get sent to, you make your dollar.
That's where that big number comes in, like 150 to up to 4.
Yeah, because you're doing emergency repairs. It's not as easy accessible as it was in new construction where walls are cut open and you could just make repairs. Now you're replumbing a house through an attic, and you're in a 140-degree attic running lines, dying of heat in there. So it's like it costs more money because it's not just an open pit where you could just run lines and be done in and out in no time. Like, it takes time cutting open walls, this and that. So there's a big process into it, but so it costs more than what a new construction job would cost, right? And then now these guys getting paid commission, like the prices only go up to, be able to pay these guys commission, and then the company still profit money to be a business and not have to close their doors. But I mean, for them, a lot of companies are paying around anywhere from like 15% commission on like the total job upwards of 20% commission, or you got companies paying 20% all the way up to
like 35.
Yeah.
But they subtract
After
materials
and your labor guys, like, right, if you're the main tech and you got 4 helpers on a job, they're gonna take away the hourly they had to pay them, and then you get whatever's left of that percentage, right? So it all depends on who you work for and what their pay scale is. But I know a lot of guys that are easily pushing $100K a year, easy.
This should be a job you make $100K a year in.
In service, yeah. I mean, that's the hard truth. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And as prices are going up, your paycheck goes up with it, because if you're a commission based guy, you're getting paid off the full price. But yeah, I mean, easily you should be able to, if you're not that good at like speaking with people, you'll make 50 to 70,000 easily. I'd imagine, give or take, because I know a lot of people that weren't really well with customers and they were still making like 50K a year, which is good. You know what I mean? That's not bad. But I knew guys, and I was one of them, that in 8 months, I made $112,000. You know what I mean? And now I don't make that. I wish I made that. Can we go back? but the growing pains of growing a business, right? But that's the thing, though, which is cool about this trade. You could go into it, you could work for somebody and make great money, right? And then once you figure it out, and we're still learning every day, you could go out and go start your own business and be a plumber. You could go right out on your own and just have one helper as a journeyman, and make good money. It's a lot of sacrifice, right? It's a lot of sacrifice to go start your own thing, a lot of heartache, but hopefully you get to a point where you're making good money. You could build a good lifestyle and find some financial freedom. Like, the trade should get you to financial freedom is how I see it. It used to, and it needs to get back to that, which it still can with the prices going up. You just got to put your head down and grind. When work is there, you grind. And when it's not, hey, you vacation.
That's why you say you make your check.
Yeah, you make your check, because when it's go time, it's go time. Like, the winter months, they're slow here, and say Utah, it slows down in the winter months. Like, you're lucky to get a few calls a day. Mm-hmm. Summertime, it's like, bro, you can't catch a break. You're just running 5-10 calls a day, each technician. Like, you're hauling, trying to get this done, because it's swim or sink at that point, right? This is the months you're going to make the most amount of your money. And then this should like float you during the slow seasons, right? To get you by. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize in service is like your checks are fat, during the summer months. And then they spend it so fast. And then the winter months come and they're like, hey, I'm not making the same amount of money. So commission it's hard, but if you're not a good financial guy.
And there's other ways. Well, that's a whole other topic is they should teach financials to guys in trade. I mean, they should teach it to everybody,
yeah,
but especially guys in trade that they get those big checks and then they have to figure out how to survive through the winter.
Yeah, because we knew a lot of guys that were like dead broke during the winter. I'm like, bro, you made good money. Like,
yeah.
Where'd you go?
You made your whole year worth during the summer.
That side by side looks nice though, baby. I see you out there whipping donuts in the parking lot. But that's how it is. Sometimes it's a little nice. And if you've been broke your whole life, like I did that my first year. My first year, I made my first check. I ain't even gonna lie. I went to Costco. We went to Costco for hot cocoa. My kids love drinking hot chocolate in the morning. And me and my wife and kids, we walk in and they're headed over there. I'm like, hey, I'll be there in a minute. It's because you walk into Costco, it's the TVs right away. I went and got me an 85-inch TV. That was the first paycheck. I was like, that 85 seems nice. I had a 55, so I was like, I love gaming. I love watching movies. Like, I'm like, hey, I'll be back. I grab a cart and I have a TV. She comes back. She's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, buying a TV. And she's like,
I can do that now.
She's like, that's massive. And I was like, yeah, probably not a great decision, but I deserve it. I've worked hard, So that's what I did with my first paycheck.
I think what's cool is in the trades too, like I think people equate it to I can just once I start working, that's the work I'll be doing. But I got this call this morning from a Renai rep and he went through his whole backstory. But basically he goes around the country for Renai on their big installs. Like they're doing 30 chilies or 30 something up in Salt Lake. They got 30 places that they're putting in tanklesses in. And he's like, I went out, he started working for somebody and then he went out on his own, created his own company, and then he ended up started getting these jobs through Renai, and Renai recently just contracted him to travel all over the country to oversee him. So he's basically a PM. Obviously, due to licensing, he can't do the work in the States.
Yeah.
So he contracts out with other plumbers. But that's just one example. Like Mike from our old shop, look at him. He was a master, and then he turned into basically a general manager, so the management side. And then so he oversaw the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what old Mikey boy did. He was just a field manager. You know what I mean? So he was the main manager there, and he just went job to job. Like, that was the guy that called you 8:00 at night.
Yeah,
like,
he was that guy.
What the hell are you doing? This is wrong. Go back there tomorrow and fix it. You know, but he oversaw everything. So like he would show up on the jobs and just pull up, and you're like, grab the tape measure, act like you're doing something. You know, we're working. But he was so big on like he was the master plumber, so he was able to make sure make sure everyone's doing the job, doing it properly, and overseeing that they're not breaking codes, because you do have, even though they're journeymans or, young guys just learning the trade, he wants to make sure it's getting done right, because that is his job to oversee that we're at that point following code the way it's supposed to be followed, and we're doing our job proper. So he was there overseeing all of that stuff, and I mean, he didn't have to lift a finger, even though he did, and he probably blew his back out a few more times than he should have. He didn't have to. He just showed up, and he could have just pointed his finger like, hey, do this, do that. But that boy would he pushed you out. Give me the shovel. Man, let me show you how to dig, So, but like you said, he got to the point where he could have stopped being in the field in that aspect and just point fingers and tell people what to do and make good money off of it. So.
Well, and then there's guys we know that, especially on the corporate route, they've gone from working in the field as a young apprentice, moved up to be a master, and then now work a corporate office job for a massive company, because they took all that experience they knew and they were able to apply it to the everyday workforce of the entire operation. So what I'm getting at is you can start this trade job and you can take it anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
You can do the work, put in the effort, do everything you need to. You can make great money, 100, 150K you're selling, but then you could also take it and apply it to the office side, right? Or a different side of it.
Yeah.
Or you could go to like Renai and work in the corporate side of Renai. How many guys on the HVAC side do we see working for like Lennox, Carrier, Goodman on the corporate side now, because they spend so much time in the field?
A lot of them, it's like they worked so hard, they made their money, they did what they wanted to do. Sure, maybe they took a little bit of a pay cut to go do this, but it was easy, right? They didn't have to break their backs anymore. They just got to go to jobs, meet with people, shake hands, and like see how operations are going and keep them going the way they're supposed to be. But there's so many guys, like when I went to the Lennox training, there was so many guys out there that they're old HVAC guys, and they're just like, yeah, man, like we're just chilling now, like we see our day-to-days and we still make really great money, but we don't have to be in an attic, you know what I mean? We can pop our head in and be like, yeah, looks great, man. Later, I'm out of here, So, but it being in the trades can spiral you into so many avenues, and then you can take it anywhere. Like, yeah, you going like from Utah to California, you got to put in some footwork to get your license changed over, but you could do it. You know what I mean?
There's a path to it.
Which is kind of weird. I've never enjoyed that. I'm like, well, if you're a plumber, you should be able to be a plumber, like wherever you go. But
for some reason, they have the two different codes, the IPC and UPC.
Yeah, so it changes everywhere you go, but your license is usually transferable into different states, or they may make you take a different test. But I mean, you're a plumber, you're a tradesman, it's pretty easy anyways. So you could go do those things, but if you're working in the state of Utah and it just dies and there's no work, man, you could go Salt Lake, you could go Idaho, wherever you want to go, and you could go pick up a job. You know what I mean?
Like your teachers, right? Your teachers are all plumbers. And
at the trade school, they're all still plumbers. They run businesses, they do whatever. But what's cool about that is they want to teach the next generation coming in. So it's a little bit extra money in their pocket, which is really not much that they get paid. They make okay, but it's not like, they could be their one job and that's all they do. You know what I mean? So they work a full-time job. Either they're full-time plumbers or they're full-time business owner plumbers. And they'll go and teach for the 2 hours, 3 hours a day on Tuesday, Thursday, teach the youth coming in and show them what it's like, what their business is and what they do, and bring up that next generation of tradesmen. And then they go back to their day-to-day running their own businesses. So it's really cool to see that, because I've met like some of my teachers have been great, and I work hand in hand with them today. You know, like we talked about Jason over at Patriot Plumbing here in St. George. He was one of my teachers, and there's so many times where we have so much work that we're like, hey, Jason, you want a job? Like we got a job we can't take, and we could throw it to him and trust in him that he's going to do a good job, you know? And he does a fantastic job out there. Yeah. So it's cool to see that, because like not only did he do that, and it like he's building up the youth, but it also worked out in his favor to an extent. Yeah, you know, we're not throwing him a buttload, but like every job thrown his way, like he built that relationship by training me, like teaching me coming up. Now that I respect him, and now I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's like if we can handle it, let's throw it to him, because like he's a respectable guy, does great work, and he's very knowledgeable. I could trust in him that he's going to do a great job for these people.
He's going to provide the same service and experience that we provide.
Yeah, so it's like hand in hand, works well with Dino, you know, and what we do. So it's like if Dino Service Pros is referring you work, like we know you're going to keep up what we're doing in the same way. So it's not a bad look for us. Well, why'd you refer us this knucklehead and he did a horrible job? Wonderful. You know what I mean?
So I think a common question people have, like, I know I had this because growing up, my dad would be like, go get a trade job, go be an electrician, go be a welder. Well, how? Like, how do you just do that, right? I come from a law enforcement family, so most of what I knew was I thought I was going to be a cop. And then it was go get a trade job. Well, how? So how would you give advice to a kid that's wanting to get in the trades to take that first step? Like, I know how you took your first step. So can you give some examples of what ways they could break into the industry so they could start building their path?
Well, for me, you know, it took me some time because my high school, where I went to Enterprise High, right? And good high school, great people. And but I came from California. My school's out there. We didn't have like welding shop.
That's what I'm saying.
Like we didn't have all that stuff.
I knew nothing about that coming from California.
Nah, we didn't have all that. So coming to Enterprise High, we were able, like they had shop class, you know, they had auto mechanics, welding, what else? I think that was it. Or they had like equine, you know, you could work on farm animals and stuff. Yeah, a lot of programs and stuff like that. I don't remember that we were really big into like our counselor being like, hey, like look into the trades, but we had it there, right? We still knew like, well, if I'm practicing welding, maybe I want to become a welder, you know? So it's like, it was teaching you about trades anyways in-house. So like the best way to get into it is like, if you're
real quick, don't we have a trade high school coming in?
I was just going to say, I think it's already started here in St. George, right? If you're in St. George, we have a high school here that just opened up that I believe is, from what I was told, it's a trade program. So it's getting you like, it's like kids in high school that take like college classes in high school, right? It's the same thing where they're taking trade classes in high school. So you could become like, you could start working towards your trades in high school, which is dope because I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, imagine starting what you did at 18.
At 16 or whatever these 16, kids are at, you know what I mean? Like 16 and already starting to learn trades. Yeah, how dope that is. You know what I mean? Like that's so many steps ahead from so many people. But majority of the world, I don't think, like the nation isn't really like that. I don't think that's because I didn't see it. So I don't know how common it is out there. I would like for it to be more common because that's dope.
It needs to be more common. We need more people.
Yeah, we need more tradesmen. I mean, the trades are just booming because not a lot of people are getting into it, right? So it's just booming. It's all rising because demand's getting outrageous. But I think the best way to hop into it, like if you're going to get into it, is one, speak to your, like if you're in high school, speak to your school counselor or whoever you have as those guys that oversee what you're doing. You know, most of them will be like, hey, they'll talk to you about college. Like my counselor is always, hey, you going to go to college? Mm-hmm. Never really talked about trade school. If you're in high school listening to this, like talk to your counselor and be like, hey, like what are my trade school opportunities? Like what are my avenues to get into? And if that doesn't work and they're like, go to college, but you really want to be a tradesman, man, reach out to the actual technical schools that are in your area, any trade schools, because you go anywhere, there's trade schools all over the dang place. You reach out to them and they'll get you lined out where you and your parents come and meet with their administration. They give you a tour of the building, show you what it looks like. You can meet with some of the teachers and have those conversations. And it gets you at least accustomed to what that may look like for you. But like I say, I don't feel like I got it really well, but you could go to these trade schools all day long, and they'll give you all the information you want and get you lined up to get going on it. And then if you want a part-time job, you could, in the summer months when these guys are busy, like, hey, I'm available to like go work with a plumber, you know,
need hands.
Go work with an HVAC guy and just be a helper. Like, you don't got to do nothing. Like, you know, you're not running the jobs, but you're there and just learning the trades. Like, what else are you doing in summer? Go make some money. I'm all about like making money, you know, like for like when I was in high school in the summertime, I wanted to work because it's like, well, I got play money now. So it's like, I wish I was a little bit smarter back then and realized like, hey, I could have hopped into a trade and learned trades. Because, I mean, I did cabinets and I did bricklaying. So, I mean, I was in trades, you know what I mean, to an extent. But even then, I wasn't told, hey, you could go to trade school to become a carpenter. You could go learn about bricklaying. Like, there's things you could do in those avenues. And I didn't know about that, you know. So, if I would have known, that would have helped me even there. But, like I say, my biggest thing is, like, if you want it, go ask questions. You can reach out to your local trade schools. You can reach out to your local tradesmen's in your town and see if you could get a summer job, because like I said, most of the time they're digging holes or they're running new units and they could use the help. So that'd be my advice.
No, that's great advice. Yeah, you kind of fell into it. You were kind of family pushed into the bricklaying and the carpenter or cabinet side.
Yeah. So my grandparents own bricklayers,
and a lot of people in the trades have that opportunity. So yeah, I'm glad there's some schools out there now. And if you guys are wanting to get into it, go check it out. I think it's important. You have more business owners right now selling or closing their trades business than any other business.
Yeah, which is crazy because that's just, no one wants to do this stuff anymore. But I love it, man. I wake up and I piss greatness. But you know what I mean? I wake up and I love this stuff, man. I wake up every morning and I'm excited to go to work. You know, it's like, I enjoy plumbing, and like, you know, you're told all the time where it's like, you just got to get by. Do a job you somewhat kind of enjoy, you know? But like, you got to find what you love. You're going to do this for a career. Like, right? A job is just over broke, is what I've always said. Mm-hmm. Then you find a career that is going to make you a lifestyle that you want, that you could retire in. So it's like when you go looking for a trade, like find something that you're going to love to do. And there's going to be days where it sucks, but you should be able to enjoy this majority of the time, which I do. Like I say, my biggest thing is I love helping people. So it's like, if I could be your superhero today and save your house from entirely flooding out where you're gutting the entire home, I'm going to be that guy, because that's how I can help you. And I enjoy that. People thank you up and down. I've been hugged. Like, I help, dude. All right, we did a repipe recently, right? And I went back to this lady's house. I told her I'd be there Wednesday to wrap up a water main that we started, but they went out of town, so I threw our schedule for a loop. Anyways, I was like, I'll come back out Wednesday when my schedule fits. And I ended up going out Monday, and I wasn't supposed to be there till Wednesday because I was in between jobs. I was like, I'm going to just go move rock or whatever, get things prepped. She was out there. Her husband went golfing and didn't have his phone. This man was gone for 8 hours and did not have his phone on. This poor little old lady, bro. She was in her 80s, and she's like, David, I'm so glad you're here. Like, my husband left. I don't have my phone. Like, can you call him? I'm like, yeah, we call him. He did not answer, you know? And like, we called him 5 times, and bro, I felt my heart was crushed for this lady. She was a sweetheart, you know? And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't get in. And it's summer here, you know, 98 degrees outside. And I'm like, let me break into your house. Today is the day that I break in. And I'm like, I got you. And then she's like, I don't leave any windows open. You got the right man. So I went and like, I was like, you did leave one cracked open. You know, she had one just barely cracked. Just hopped in, opened the door. Bro, I was her savior. She's hugging me. I love you, David. Like, thank you so much for being here today. You were not supposed to be here. Shit, I would have been stuck out here, you know? But like, dude, that was just like a memorable moment because it was just like, yeah, you know, no big deal. Like, I just jumped through your window. You know how many times I've locked myself out of my house, or my wife has locked the keys out? Like, it's just whatever. But it's cool because like you get that from people. Like, I didn't save her from her plumbing that day. I mean, I was, but that day I just opened the door for her, you know? Yeah. But like, that's what's fun about this stuff, man. Like, I enjoy it so much for it because you get that feeling of people just like thanking you for saving them and like their plumbing. And you're like, heck yeah, dude, I'm not a firefighter, but cool. You know, like not law enforcement, but hell yeah, brother. Saved your plumbing, man. Like, I love it.
Is there any other last bit of advice you'd give to people getting into the trades?
Just freaking do it, bro. Like jump into it full steam ahead. You're going to do it. Just full force. I'm big on it. Like this, at least try it. You know what I mean? It's not a lot to just try it. If that could be my one thing, if you're thinking about it, you don't even have to go to trade school yet. Like you could just let me go get my toes wet, see how I like it, see what the guys are doing. And if you enjoy it, cool. Full send. Get into the trades. If not, cool. Figure something else you want to do.
The last thing I'd say is you're never too old for it.
No. Heck no.
I think people get this idea that, man, I'm too old to restart. I'm too old to do this. But you could be in your 50s, even older, 60s, and come out and get into trade.
Be ready to work. But,
it's going to take a toll, but you can still do it.
Yeah. And there's jobs for everybody. Like you could get into like being an equipment operator for big companies, you know, because like we're residential, we do commercial too, but we're a smaller aspect. But there's companies out there that are running projects after projects that need operators. So even if you want to step foot into the plumbing trade, you could run machines for the guys, you know what I mean? And just help with the odds and ends, you know? But like I say, we have guys that started at 40 years old or going to school and trades with guys that are 18, you know what I mean? But they're going, and it's the most money that they've made. It's the most joy that they've had in like working in a long time. And even if it's not, they're happy with their paychecks, you know, because there's those guys too that just hate it, you know, but their paychecks are good and they enjoy the work aspect of it. But I say do it. I'm all for it.
It provides a good life. I mean, it provides everything you need.
Yeah, I think it's a good skill to have. You don't want to be, you want to be able, your wife needs something done. You're like, hey, don't call nobody, baby. I got you. You know, like you could fix it. I hate that where my wife's like, can you fix this? And if I was just sitting there like, I don't know. Like, call somebody, which is cool. There's people for that. But like, I mean, it helps you learn a trade and at least get skillful in that area. And you could go take care of the little odds and ends. I could turn off an angle stop. I could change an angle stop out, like the little things. I think it's well worth it.
Awesome. Well, let's recap. So go find your local trade school, get a part-time or summer job to get your feet wet. Talk to someone. You call us, but talk to anybody, right? Anything else?
Help the little old ladies break into their homes when need be.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a good career, good money, and it's a dying trade. So there's so much room to grow.
Go get it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Love you. Bye.